Good morning and welcome to another episode of Unscripted and Unchained RPG Review. I am DM Bluddworth, and as you can see by the graphics, today is my Unscripted and Unchained first look at game mastery in the index card RPG. So I know in my last video I said I was going to get around to doing these a little bit more often, probably on a 2 to 3 day scale, and then of course life struck and I had to step away from doing anything these last couple of days, and I have a very busy weekend coming up. So, hopefully I'll be able to do 2 videos today and do this upload, and then another one coming down. Try to do a remote upload a little bit later on, probably Sunday or Monday at the latest. But anyway, let's get right to game mastery in the Index Card RPG, second edition. This is from Runehammer Games, and we will switch right to this view now. So, last time I was using the quick start rules just to go over the basic premise of the game and the tone and some of the playing aspects of it. Today I'm using the full core book of the second edition. So this is the 216 page version of it, and let's get right into this here. So game mastery: building, running, and rebuilding an adventure or campaign for your friends is an interactive, unpredictable form of storytelling. The systems and tricks in this section will keep your game moving and give it authentic detail, fairness, and most of all, epic fun. So it starts off with a taking an oath of game mastery, and it basically goes with: I will let the torrent flow, I will remember everything, I will build a world from their actions, I will be an architect, I will be poetic, I will be energetic, I will lift them up and vanish, I will be a beacon of camaraderie, I will be a terror to behold. And Runehammer goes into details here on what each of those actually mean. And as I glance through these really quick, I could certainly see that there are certain elements of this that I agree with, and then some I don't. All right. So to begin with, the creative leadership of the game, and I'm looking at I will let the torrent flow. The creative leadership of the game is your burden and privilege. It starts in solitude with pen and paper. Unleash your ideas and adventures without structure, limit, or intended results. Now, I'm going to disagree with that without structure. There has to be a basic framework of your adventure, and then where the players take it from that point is really, that's the fluid part of it. So I'm not quite sure he means without structure as in no structure at all. There should be a basic framework. And he even goes into, I believe, the components of an adventure a little bit later on. So we'll take a look at that next anyway. I will remember everything. Not only will you have a knack for recalling the rules and details from all over, you will actively develop the skill of memory. Master bullet noting, key reminders, condensation, and retention of read material. Be smarter. Use it for a dynamic, rich game built on countless sources. Make this your superpower. Again, I'm going to kind of disagree with that. What you need to do is you do need to have quick references. All right, and that's where a game master's screen comes into play if it is a very well designed one. If it's not very well designed, like the game master's screen for 5th edition D&D is a useless piece of garbage. All right, have to build your own with that system there. So with this system here, if there is a game master screen with the appropriate and most needed charts and graphs and such, then fine. If it's not, create your own. All right. So you don't have to be a master of every rule, but you do need to know what the most common outcomes are, or most common skill checks and things like that you're going to utilize and your players are going to utilize. So it's good to have quick references available to you. A world from their actions, and here I agree with this, is that you might create the first little starting point and then let your world develop moving outwards from there, informed by their actions. I will be the architect. It is essential to have a comprehension of how spatial layouts affect behavior, combat, and visual revelation. Know how to use sight lines, avoid arbitrary details, and abolish dead ends and nonsensical corridors. Master the use of high arches, colossal pillars, and assumed symmetry to give your places intelligence and reality. Make this your never-ending homework. All right. I guess just to create the imagery of where, the rooms that the characters are in and such. I'll be poetic. So the poetry of a good story is challenging and sublime. Skills that rely on the practices and chance. It takes a brave soul to attempt the poignant. And this is not really being you verbally being poetic. Your adventure design should be poetic. It should be challenging. It should have sublime skills and just relies on the practice and chance. That it should require all of the components of a good role-playing experience built into it, and that's what how I envision being poetic means, is that you want the adventure to be challenging, interesting, engaging, and poetic when it does all come together. I will be energetic. No single element will kill a night of fun faster than fatigue. When you come to the table, come like a tiger. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of come to the game ready to rock and roll for the next 3 to 4 hours. Unless you do longer sessions, then certainly remember your tank will run dry if you're doing like an 8-hour session or something. You need some refreshment. I will lift them up and vanish. The story is not about you. It's about the heroes. You are only visible when there is no other way. You are your player's biggest fans. You cringe when they fail and celebrate when they soar. Never outshine them. All your NPCs and dangers are stepping stones to their greatness, never your own. Make this your before session reminder. Let the players tell their story, and your role is to allow for opportunities of success and consequences for failure. And that's your real only time that you're stepping into the action that's taking place and the story that's taking place. Once it has begun, is to just introduce those opportunities and consequences as needed, and let the players roll with it. But certainly let the players suffer the consequences and enjoy the successes of their actions, through their characters, obviously. The beacon of camaraderie. So a beacon of camaraderie. In my most recent AD&D first edition, actually, I'm sorry, it's a BECME campaign. In my most recent BECME campaign, where I'm a player, we had the greatest session of player to player banter, and just laughter through the whole thing. And not so much just based solely on the events of the game session itself, what the players were experiencing, but just our interaction amongst us, as a group of friends, because now I consider it to be a group of friends. We've been together now for about 6 weeks, and the growing camaraderie has been really, really, um, the high point of the campaign. And that's what you want to create at your table as a GM. I will be a terror to behold. Now, when I first glanced through this and saw, uh, now for your final form, a thing of nightmare, a devious, intelligent, merciless doombringer, there are infinite layers of hell in your plotting, scheming, sightless demons and bladed booby traps. The players see in those eyes 1,000 deaths, each darker than the last. I mean, he goes on and on and on, and I mean, unless this is a hardcore meat grinder kind of campaign, um, that's that's not the role of a GM. Um, the role of the GM is to challenge the player characters, um, challenge the players to think about their characters in different ways and different uses, um, and challenge the player party in integrating how their characters work together. And in the event of a character death, then your ability to add meaning to that event is what is going to resolve any issues the player is having with what just occurred. All right. If a character dies because of one dice roll, and even though that is a possibility, you should create a meaningfulness following that event. You might not be able to make that individual event meaningful because it was such a minor thing that came down to just one or two bad dice rolls, but it's your responsibility to make it meaningful afterwards. That way the player can better cope with having lost their character. So when you introduce a new character that player is playing, then there's some meaningfulness behind that. They might be related to the person that just died, or they might be, they might be the next step in the process of uh, meaningfulness for the character that just died. And so maybe they will continue the the goal of that character, especially if the two characters had known each other in some way. You can easily develop that. So yeah, you should not be a terror to behold. You should be a creator that can create opportunities for storytelling, whether the players are successful or the players fail. Okay, so here we go with the actual construction of an adventure. And so the three basics is: where are the heroes, what is their goal, and what stands between the two. So you're basically looking at location, goal, obstacle. All right, and so once you have these three basic forms down of where they are, what's their goal, and what is their challenge going to be, you can now build from that. So it goes into various types. If you take this method at face value, the first thing that pops into your head is, I need a ton of locations, goals, and obstacles. There are a great many books out there for this, but here's a few starters. So they give you a couple small ideas here. of where to have that location, the goal, and the obstacle. Narrative techniques, mechanical techniques. So using narrative devices and encounters and adventures is the most common, appropriate way of doing it. These are my camera's going off. I have a delivery outside. And then the mechanical technique, design an encounter or adventure mechanically means listing out specific types of challenges that will engage your players: climb, search, break, repair, fight, climb again. You can even get more abstract by planning strength, dex, combat, intelligence, strength, to utilize attributes for various challenges and such. So basic adventure building kind of ideas. You have both narrative ideas and you'll have mechanical requirements for the players to achieve. Thinking in sessions. Many GMs find themselves swamped when trying to plan or imagine massive sprawling sandbox RPG worlds for their players to explore, or sweeping arcs of character revelation, all wrapped in peril and danger. There is a far simpler method that will lead to better details, less awkward exposition, and more player-generated nuance. This is the art of the session. It gives you some tips and such. They think they are safe. Improv details, plan big stuff. All right, so let's see. They think they were safe. So many sessions begin and end with safety. Don't be so cruel as to rob them of their brief respite from hell's legions, but just when they relax, pull the rug. Here are 8 ideas to twist their dream of safety into the next nightmare. All right. Ending the session. The session end roll. Here's a great little mechanic to help to solve one of the oldest problems in tabletop gaming. When you do, we go home. When you do, we go home. When do we go home? Sorry. When do we go home? Being distracted by the oil delivery that I'm getting. You've read all about the continual time, so you know how clear time passes in ICRPG. Even if days are passing, players stay in turns. When something big happens, like the supreme villain is defeated, or the character dies, or the group is clearly tired, it's time to roll for end of the session. Roll a d6 and throw out a 1. In that many rounds, the game is over for the night. Boom. Well, I kind of like that. Now, that's an interesting little thing. It's like you tell every player, all right, you're going to be able to do between 2 and 6 rounds worth of activity, and then we're going to bring it to a close. That really is a good idea. I like that. All right, the final turn. The best result of using this method to end your games is the final turn. Moment for each character. When the end session die reaches 0, go around the table one last time. Invite each player to describe how their character ends the episode. It's a chance for each of them to define the cliffhanger and look cool, frozen in time. And ending, even just for the piece of the story, is critical to really drive everything home. The final turn puts all the description in players' hands, right where it should be, rather than the GM narrating dwindling night of play. Super cool idea. I can't say that enough. That's probably the most interesting thing I've read in this so far. milestones and chests. I often feel best once the end session is rolled to award a milestone reward or loot. Players will spend those few turns prying open their find, choosing their milestone, or crafting that spell they've been dreaming up. Ultimate Cliffhanger is the most exciting version of the session end roll. Once you're feeling comfortable when to roll it is the cliffhanger. A cliffhanger is where you roll for the session end right at the climax of a battle. Are you nuts? This may seem a bit crazy at first glance, but once you try it, you'll realize where the term cliffhanger comes from. That's something that, you know, I can certainly see the cinematic approach to that. They're in the midst of a battle and we're gonna cut it off there. Let me know what your character is doing in this last moment of this session, and then you pick it up from there. So I can definitely see how that's an interesting way of ending one session and picking up where you left off the next time. The Tribunal. Just because the game is over doesn't mean everyone has to leave. The session Afterglow is the perfect time to hold Tribunal with your friends, sit together, have a laugh, talk tabletop, but don't play. It's a campaign working out for everyone. Are the characters cool? Is anything missing that should be added in the future? So you kind of just have a debriefing of what you've just done and what's working for them and what's not working for them so far. Maybe what their character would like to do the next time or see. So you as the DM can go back and do some planning. Easy and hard. So easy and hard cases. Hard roll is a target +3. Easy roll is a target -3. Okay. So it's just basing difficulty levels. Target escalation when the players are smoothly using the target, hard and easy roll, call outs from the GM, and so on. It's time to really put them on edge by escalating the target. This means that you reach out to the big target, D20, and change it to a higher number. Okay. When to make a roll hard. Character unfamiliar with the task at hand. When to make it easy. Character already tried and failed once. It's almost always superhuman to expect success. That's when you make it hard. It is almost, I should say, superhuman to expect success. A character has specific training with the task. Makes it easy. Chaotic surroundings makes it hard to focus, makes it hard. A character being helped by another makes it easy, and so on. So they just give you little pointers as to when to make a roll hard and when to make a roll easy. You will develop your own understanding of this over time as well. And so as you become much more familiar with DMing a session, you will you'll know in your own planning of what is going to be a hard task or you assume is going to be a hard task and what should be fairly routine tasks as well. Hearts. Is everything just one heart, 10 effort? No. Knowing when to escalate hearts on your monsters and challenges is a key piece of the challenge escalation. Hearts are used kind of like a, if you're making an attempt, you can spend a heart. Hearts also reflect hit points in some cases, so every heart is worth 10 points, so 10 hit points. So jumping from 1 to 2 hearts is huge. Much less monsters with 4 or more. Here are some examples. Creatures are magically enhanced. Would go from 1 heart to 2 hearts. A chest holds a particular epic loot. A door has been cursed never to yield. Players have acquired 3+ milestones. There is less than 3 of the monster of a monster in battle. You plan an enemy to escape or overwhelm them. Enemies are near a rallying point or power source. So these are times when you would modify the number of hearts associated with the particular encounter that they are in. As a rule of thumb, most of your game can be 1 heart, challenges and enemies. Even more powerful characters don't make 10 effort on a single roll that often. Just remember that when characters gang up on their enemies or tasks, they will eat up hit points fast, so load your bosses with 4 or more hearts to make them a challenge. Turn order, you're going to roll initiative. I'm not going to spend very much time with this. You're going to distribute the time based on who is going first. We go into awards, so awarding deeds or legend. The best moment in tabletop adventure can be humble, poetic, self-sacrificing, unexpected, improbable, and just plain amazing. All right, 2 main ways to acknowledge brilliant play. Hero coins. When a player does something that makes the game more fun for everyone, add a dash of bravado and award them with a shiny coin award. Award 1 through 5 hero coins per session per player. The heroic token can be redeemed by the player or give to an ally to redeem at any time. Redeeming the coin lets the player roll ultimate effort or their next effort roll. Using a hero coin lets heroic players strategically speed up or ensure completion of a crucial task, and players can only have 1 coin at a time. Milestone awards. Each class has a collection of these loot-based upgrades. When a player truly turns a corner, discovers his destiny, or completes a lifelong quest, award this upgrade. Excuse me. Dynamic dice. All right, I'm going to finish up with dynamic dice. Excuse me. Dynamic dice, another exciting way to keep players in a state of flux, accelerating the actions or relieving cruel dice patterns is to use a dynamic dice system. This method has each player tracking their own status with a sort of timer and modifying their rolls with it. There are a few types to consider bringing to your table. Battle Fury. We've all been there. We show up excited to play, get going, and the dice just will not cooperate. You rolled 3s and 2s and 5s for what seemed like hours, never doing anything cool in the game. Oh, cursed life. Battle Fury, let's play and overcome this awful scenario. If using Battle Fury, a player places a d6 near his sheet. For each missed roll, the die is increased by 1. That amount is added to the next d20 roll until success is made. It then resets to 1. Battle Fury will give multiple failures a +6 maximum and break the slump. For extra fun, this die can inform descriptions and flavor of how the character overcomes his bad streak with a howl of fury. Oh, I like that too. There's some interesting little nuggets in here. Spell burn. Some spellcasters really work the system. They cast over and over, and it can make the game feel odd or transparent. If it fits your story, place a spell burn die on the player. Place a d4, 1 and up the player's sheet For each spell cast, increase the spell burn die by 1. When it reaches 4, the magic power overloads the caster, and he must make an intelligence or wisdom check on the current target to continue casting. If he succeeds, reset the die to 1. If he fails, roll the dreaded spell burn die for the result, and the roll in rounds the player cannot use spells. Again, another interesting use of dynamic dice. Dogpile. Tank type characters take a lot of damage to encourage and enrich the ignominious duty. You can use the Dogpile dice. Place a d4 in a player sheet. Each time she takes damage on a consecutive turns, escalate the die by 1. When it reaches 4, the character makes a con check on the current target. If successful, she heals 4 hit points. If she fails, she simply resets the dice and a heroic second wind. Okay. The blunder. If the player rolls a 1 on a check or attempt, they fail terribly. Have them roll again by a saving throw for the blunder. If another 1 is rolled, things go really wrong. Okay, so we're up to page 80 here, and I am going to pick up where I left off with the next video. So once again, I hope you enjoyed this video. As you can see, there are a lot of really interesting little things in this book, that I'm certainly going to take some of these ideas and adopt them into even other game systems, because at least 2 of those I really, really, liked to experiment in other game systems as well. So once again, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for joining. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, please leave your questions and comments below. And if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. As always, the more and more the channel grows, the more reach that it's going to have out there, the more contact I have with other people and their ideas, and you'll also get those alerts when I upload new videos. And like I said in the very beginning, I'm really going to try to get more videos put out there. At least 3 a week. That's what I'm hoping for. And unfortunately, life got in the way these last couple of days, and for the next couple of days. But once again, thanks for joining. Stay safe out there. I look forward to seeing you on the gaming screen sometime soon. You'll have a great afternoon.